This is LA's first.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. We're all about manifestation, transformation, and breakthroughs. It's time to claim your birthright of prosperity, vitality, and love. So grab your tea or coffee because together we're awakening the world. May you live your truth. Live from Los Angeles, we come together to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and yes, align with universal law. I'm Dr. Erin, I'm Doctor of Divinity, and we come together on this podcast to teach the metaphysics of mind, universal law, and really understanding how we are manifesting 24/7. How does this entire dynamic called you, the universe, work? And break it on down so that you can be the most empowered in your personal, professional life. Yes. So today we want to talk about trauma versus prayer, which is a really interesting concept. How do those two even relate? What's going on? And the point is, why do we even care about this conversation? The point is that if you are somebody who is still kind of reacting in life, still you don't feel totally healed, yes, you may consider you need trauma work. Maybe you don't even understand what trauma work is. And then maybe you're somebody who has heard of this thing called prayer. Maybe you hate prayer. Maybe you don't even believe in prayer. But the point is that we all want to have powerful lives. We all want to be empowered. We all want to live our greatest version of ourselves. We all want to be fully expressed, have prosperity, love, abundance, all the above. Well, if you want that, this podcast is for you because I'm going to break on down why doing your trauma work and doing what we call affirmative mind treatment, aka prayer, is imperative. Those two things we use primarily in New Thought Global and Soulciété. And why do you need both? Or why, one might work more for you than the other, right? Okay. So let's break this on down. As a community, we recognize that we're here to really restore the truth of who we are, really just remember the truth of who we are, and unveiling this via truth. We heal by revealing truth in New Thought Global. We teach metaphysics of mind and understand how your subconscious is the universal law and breaking this all down. So someone asked me the other day, why do we need E4 trauma method if we do spiritual mind treatment? And first I want to break on down what is trauma work and what is, prayer from a metaphysical standpoint. Okay. I'm sure if you've been in my tribe or community, you're like, okay, we already know this, right? But it's always good to remember what these are. Okay. Trauma is a state that is basically a place on the track where you had a really high state of negative emotion. And we recognize that the subconscious mind is programmed and received by frequency and vibration. And you're such a powerful spiritual being. The moment you place a positive or negative meaning on something, you instantaneously are informing your subconscious mind, which is one with the divine mind, universal law. Okay. So a state of a trauma experience is when you're in a high state of a negative emotion. You've placed a major negative thing onto it. Maybe, you're dealing with a big breakup. Maybe you heard really bad news. Maybe you had an incident where you were sexually abused, whatever that may be. It's a state of a high state of a negative emotion backed by a limiting belief. Something's wrong with me. I'm not enough. I will never love again. It's called a command, and it places into the subconscious mind an engram into the neurological system, and it also tags the DNA. Okay, so there's trauma. Okay, that basically is a very brief summary of trauma. So we recognize trauma work is imperative because it's really neutralizing the mental pictures, which actually ends up neutralizing that negative charge on your DNA, releasing that and being able to have you be more able for you read the dynamics of who you are, one with the universe, exponentially, not have huge upsets and reactions and just be the effect of what you've created at a subconscious level, but begin to be someone who can restore freedom of choice and free will and be able to not be, used by your emotions, but to use your emotions instead. So trauma, that's breaking it down. Okay. Just a real gist of it versus prayer. And a lot of people out there may be like, I don't believe in prayer. That's delusional. We don't teach prayer to some man in the sky. We teach what's called affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. And spiritual mind treatment is basically not praying for something. It's praying to become something. It's actually expanding one's consciousness. And when we expand the consciousness, just like we expand the DNA, we basically begin to have all answers already. A prayer is answered instantaneously. It's not about going out and doing something. It's revealing that there's already that choice. It's already in front of your face, right? It's literally like the answer is already there. And so we know in spiritual mind treatment that this is in consciousness. And when we do spiritual mind treatment, we are going through 5 steps, which is about acknowledging the one power that is. The second is identifying, recognizing that you are that divine power. You are that essence that's created the entire universe, and you have all the wisdom right now and all the resources right now. Third is declaration of declaring what it is that you choose to direct energy upon mind to experience in this life and right now. And next is gratitude. Energizing from the mind doesn't know the difference between something that's not happened or has happened. In mind, it's called like biofeedback. It's literally like you're energizing the mental pictures, and it has to outpicture into the world. Okay. And then the last is releasing, recognizing there's nothing to do, that you've informed universal law in your subconscious mind, and therefore it's done in the divine mind. Okay. So what spiritual mind treatment should work, period. And right. But the issue is this: spiritual mind treatment is not contingent upon anything, but it is contingent upon the person that you're either praying for or that you pray for yourself, how receptive you are to receive the truth of who you are, how receptive you are to actually, being able to receive the goodness and the abundance. And some people can't receive it, right? They literally can't receive the abundance and love and everything. And so we want to break this on down because it's imperative. We recognize that there's really only, there's the subconscious mind is very specific. It's so specific. It's one with universal law. It's basically negatively charged, neutral, or positive. A negative, a zero, or a positive. That's it. We're a binary system. We are literally like a computer system. So we want to break on down, if this is the case, if we're a new thought movement and we're having, this is our practice, is to live the highest, expand the consciousness, and reap the rewards of this entire universe, right? Then we've got to get our mind right. And we either need to neutralize that, the trauma, or we need to do prayer, or both, right? And so someone asked me it's a really brilliant question. Why, if prayer works, right? If prayer really works, spiritual mind treatment, why do we need E4 trauma method? Why don't we just go straight to truth? And it's a great question. And so what happened was, years ago, I was in a spiritual center for years, training, developing, and I was around, all the people in that center, and I would witness people. And I was like, these people keep praying, but it doesn't seem like things are shifting in their life. And then other people would pray, do spiritual mind treatment, and things would shift dramatically. And so I began to inquire into what's going on. Like, why is this working for one person versus not another person? And all of a sudden I realized what was really going on. And the best analogy would be, imagine you're a farmer and you have this plot of land. You have, you're ready to, it's a new, year or whatever, and you're planting the seeds for your crops. But the issue is there are weeds all through your entire land. And so if you plant these new seeds, it's not really going to work. The seeds are going to actually take over and destroy your seeds. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So the point is that E4 trauma method and trauma work is kind of like going in and getting out and getting to the root of all those weeds before you see the plant of truth, which is through spiritual mind treatment. So as practitioners, which I love developing spiritual practitioners in New Thought Global, so amazing, is we're really teaching to know truth. That's all we're doing. Spiritual practitioners are masters of being able to spot the limited belief, those weeds in your garden. And they're also masters of doing spiritual mind treatment, right? And they're also coaches. Those coaches are developed in all the actual E4 trauma method and all of the different processes to clear out the weeds and to birth someone's truth. Okay. So now imagine, here you are, the farmer. You're ready to plant your seed. You're like, I know I want these crops. I'm going to plant these, avocado trees or whatever. We're going to plant, we're going to harvest. But I've got all these weeds. And if I plant these avocado trees, it's just not going to work. Like literally, it's like asking for problems. And you may even lose all the investment that you made in all the seeds that you're ready to plant. So E4 trauma method and dealing with your trauma is really about getting the soil right. Because what I noticed when I was in that spiritual center is that people they weren't able to receive. They had so much trauma that they had so much limited beliefs, because limited beliefs come from trauma. That's what it comes from. It comes from your epigenetics, from your DNA. It comes from everything in your lineage, but all of that comes from the experiences and putting limited beliefs, which can only be done to itself, right? So I began to work with people and recognize that I had been doing a lot of subconscious work, developing processes to really help neutralize all the trauma and stuff, and taking it to where I was helping people birth their truth. The E4 trauma method versus other trauma is we don't just, get someone that they're not reactive in life. The point is to transmute the energy to birth someone's truth, to birth what they're really here to do in this lifetime. So I was doing that work, and it was almost like a little bit separate from the prayer work. But what I recognize is, as I began to work with somebody and I began to do both, I began to do that trauma work, neutralize, they were much more receptive. Remember, spiritual mind treatment has a contingency for somebody to receive the prayer, if you will, and it's how receptive they are. So it's kind of like clearing out that plot of land, getting the roots of all those weeds through the E4 trauma method, through trauma work, and getting that all cleaned up. And now here you are as the farmer. And you're like, I have choice here. I get to actually plant these seeds that I really want for my life, and I get to actually harvest them and nurture them with a daily spiritual practice, water them every day, and reap the rewards. Okay. So why do we need trauma work when we have spiritual mind treatment? And somebody could maybe do spiritual mind treatment. Maybe they don't have a lot of weeds, maybe they're able and more powerful, and they're like, I'm a farmer, I'm planting these things. I will deal with every single weed as they come up because I'm so committed. I'm knowing the truth. It's done in my mind. It's over. And that's fine. It's not like you have to do trauma work before you can do spiritual mind treatment. Okay. It depends on each individual. It depends on how powerful their consciousness is. And we're all powerful all the time, but we have inverted use of our power. And if you don't know the power and you don't fully know it and embody it, then you got to do some trauma work. Okay. And I'm not saying you have to do trauma work, but what I found is the best kind of formula for most clients is to do both, so that they fully are able and have all tools of themselves to have the highest healing and revealing of them. So on that note, I just say yes, 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 taking a deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling out. I recognize the power of this work, the power. I'm so grateful for all the masters that have come before. I'm so grateful for New Thought movement and all the great dynamics of restoring the truth of who we are, this ancient wisdom, the wisdom that understands that with each new thought, we can create entire new universes. I recognize you are the same source that is creating the entire universe. Everything as above, so below. Everything happening in the cosmos is happening in you right now. Every last drop of it, the inversion of the self, you get to create heaven or hell right here, right now. And in this, I know the choice of neutralizing through trauma work and also directing energy upon the subconscious and universal law for a specific manifestation, the highest version of you. And so I say yes to all these dynamic tools we have, yes to the community, yes to all this wisdom. May it set you free, because I know it has for me. I simply know this, I release this, as together we say, and so it is. Amazing, you guys. So I would recommend doing both your trauma work and doing spiritual mind treatment. If you're interested in getting developed in these things and being able to teach them, facilitate them, you can check out Soulciété.com, and you can also DM me directly on social media. We've got some trainings all the time going on as well. You can check out our free trainings or gifts or whatever, all on Soulciété.com. It's all right there for you. Okay. So have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth. Thank you for tuning in to Soulciété and Dr. Erin podcast. If you've had a calling to be a spiritual leader or coach, you can go to Soulciété.com and check out our free training. If you've received value here, I would love it if you take a moment and give a 5-star review. In exchange, I have a ton of free gifts for you. Grab your free awakening book, 40 guided meditations, and digital manifesting masterclass. I also have a free money meditation and worksheet for you, so you can begin to break through your scarcity mindset and claim your birthright of prosperity. You can get all of your gifts and learn about our upcoming transformational events in my bio link in both Instagram and Facebook. That's under drerin.tv, which is DRERIN.tv. Also, I'd love to invite you into our free private community on Facebook under groups called Soulciété. That is facebook.com/groups/ Soulciété. That's Soulciete. Have a divine day and may you live your truth.